The most widely occurring of all the children's python species is the Stimson's python. It is found across most of the arid interior of the continent. Western Australia has some of the most attractive variations, so I went out with licensed reptile collector Dave McIntosh to look for one in the wild. After a long drive through some scenic country, we entered a cattle station. And it wasn't long before we arrived at an abandoned homestead. There was a lot of old building material lying around, which looked promising, so we began to search.
So here in the Pilbara, there's a lot of old abandoned mining cottages, and they are really interesting to find reptiles. We often come here and search these because it's often easy pickings. You find geckos and goannas under some of the loose material lying around, and particularly inside. So yeah, we'll have a look around. Jake, anything under there?
No.
Yeah, there's a gecko, look. Leave it. We've seen plenty of those.
Oh.
Look at this. What's that? No, don't catch it, leave it alone.
Hey.
You don't have to catch everything. You don't need those sort of things. All right, come in here. We'll just look around the buildings. There's a lot of rubbish in here, Jake. It's good habitat. Oh wow! Oh mate, we're in luck today. Python on eggs, unreal. Oh, she's already got up her eggs. Hang on. It's a shame we've disturbed her, but hopefully she'll go back on her eggs, so I'll just put it back the way I found it. Oh, she's calling out the other side.
We also found a nice specimen of Varanus brevicorda under an old door. Brevicorda means short tail. This is officially the world's smallest species of monitor and is much sought after by reptile enthusiasts. Possibly the most desirable of all the Stimson's python morphs is the so-called weak-belt stimmo. Also from Western Australia, this population is renowned for its lighter background colour, and specimens such as this are highly prized. In recent times, some enterprising keepers have begun to develop lines that can be identified along political boundaries. This is useful in ensuring compatible pairings and keeping the lines pure. And now, onto our last subject for this episode, the frilled-necked lizard or frilly. It is perhaps Australia's most well-known lizard and occurs across the northern coastal areas of the continent. Typical habitat for the species ranges from the lush tropical woodlands of the north to the drier coastal forests of the south. Southern populations have been impacted by land clearing and urban development. And in the north, they have been affected by the spread of the cane toad. These lizards are seldom seen during the dry season, but become active at the start of the rainy season. The frill is erected in defense, and its appearance has the effect of suddenly making the lizard appear much bigger and therefore less attractive as a meal. It is also used by males to display to females. In this rarely seen behavior, this male is displaying to the female hidden in the grass. For nesting, females will choose a flat sandy area that receives full sunlight. They may dig a few test holes in different locations to test the temperature of the substrate before finally deciding where to lay their 8 to 12 small eggs. The laying process takes about 20 minutes, and up to 3 clutches per season may be produced if sufficient food is available. When incubated artificially, eggs will hatch in 65 to 70 days. Newly emerged babies are already imprinted with the defensive frilling behavior and can be somewhat feisty. They require insect food such as roaches, crickets and superworms. Juveniles usually make good feeders and will fight over food. Adults can be accustomed to hand feeding or being fed with tongs. They will reach sexual maturity at about 2 years of age. In captivity, frillies can live for up to 20 years. The road test results for this episode produced the following scores. For the maculosus python, hatchlings go for about $250 each, so on price I gave them a score of 7. Maculosus are regularly bred in captivity, so an 8 on availability. This is one of the hardiest of all the children's python species, and has no special maintenance requirements. However, it doesn't tolerate as much cooling as the Stimson's python. A score of 7. A 3-foot tank complete with heat source, hide box and a newspaper substrate is adequate for a pair of these pythons. A score of 7. Will conveniently eat frozen thawed mice and small rats. An 8 in the fuel category. Blotch pythons are considered a beginner species, and while common, some of the recently developed morphs are attractive, a wow factor score of 3, giving a total score of 40. For the frilled neck lizard, at about $350 to $400 each, they are reasonably priced, a score of 7. Frill necks are not a simple species to breed, and there is often a shortage of hatchlings, a score of 6 on availability. These lizards do require year-round heat, a score of 6 on maintenance. Frill necks are not a suitable lizard for a small cage. A male and several females need an enclosure at least 3 meters by 2 meters by 1 meter, fitted with branches and several basking sites. Males should not be housed together, a score of 4. Frill necks do well on a diet of insects, with the occasional fuzzy mouse for a treat. However, they should also be offered vegetables mixed with cat food and a multivitamin and calcium phosphate supplement. This is essential to provide the full spectrum of required nutrients, but takes time and effort, a score of 1 on fuel. Even though captive specimens will seldom frill, this is indeed a very impressive lizard, a wow factor score of 9, giving an overall score of 30.